Hi, you guys. I'm really excited today because I'm talking with Monica Irauzqui, and she is the VP of Yampu Travel Agency. We recorded the show a few months ago, and it was right around the beginning of COVID-19, so I held on to the show, and I was kind of waiting to see how things were going to go and really to get the okay from Monica, the go-ahead to release the show. She emailed me, and here we are, you guys. She's the reason why I actually started a bucket list and thinking about going around to other places, like to Africa and different places around the world. And I'm really loving this platform because each guest is offering me a whole different insight into the world, try going here or going there. And what I love about this travel agency is that it helps to make these trips affordable. You guys, without further ado, please welcome the VP of Yampu Travel Agency, Monica Irauzqui, to Authentic Talks. Authentic Talks is all about authentic conversations. This show is all about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. If you're looking to grow and become your authentic self, then this is the podcast for you. And I am your host, Shantae. Welcome to the show. Hi, Monica. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. I am really excited to have you here today. We're ready to talk all about travel. And before we get started, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, I'm Monica Irauzqui. I'm the Vice President of Yampu Tours. And for the last 22 years, I've been curating trips of a lifetime for thousands of our clients.
It's called Yampu?
Yes. We're a tour operator, and that means that we sell complete packages with airfare, all the travel, all the transfers, the car, the guy picks you up at the airport, all the guides, all the trains and permits and buses and everything that you could possibly need, we include. And we do it customized. So a tour does not mean you're with 1,000 people, but we do tours that are customized for the family or the couple or the group.
That's awesome. I want to definitely talk more about that. Can you share with me, did you have a passion for travel, or what was it that motivated you to get into this line of a way of helping people?
Yampu Tours is my husband and I's company, and when we met, he's from Peru. He took me to Machu Picchu because I had just read this book, The Celestine Prophecy. And so when I met him, I was like, oh, it's my dream. I want to go to Machu Picchu. So we went together. And back at that time, not a lot of people were going to Machu Picchu. Peru had had some political instability for years, and it was just opening up and being nice again. So when we went back to New York, we almost opened a shoe store together, and then the lawyer wouldn't let us sign the lease. And his second idea was travel, and his third idea was importing food. So we chose travel, and we started selling Peru. The next year we added Chile and Argentina, and then Brazil and Ecuador, and then all of Central America. And now we sell pretty much any country in the world. Our specialty is Africa, Latin America, Asia, India and the Himalayas, and Europe.
And guess what? I have not been to any of those countries.
No.
Not one. I know. It's time for me to travel. So what would that look like if I wanted to go to Africa? What would I do? What would be the first steps that I would need to take to secure that?
I've been preparing a class about this very subject. I'm putting together a school to share my knowledge.
Nice.
And one of my classes is how to start thinking about a trip to Africa. The first thing you need to do when planning a trip to Africa is really, I would write down everything that's in your imagination. And then if you're working with a tour company, which I would suggest, and if you're working with me, I want you to tell me everything that's on that list you just made. Because Africa is a huge continent. We sell about 8 countries in Africa, and each has a different personality and a different offering things for you to see. So if you came to me and said, I want to see Victoria Falls, take a boat down the Zambezi River, then we're going to do something like Zambia and South Africa or Zambia and Botswana. If you want to do more than just safari, you want to see cities and culture and history, South Africa is good. If you want to see the most incredible animals and culture of your life, then Kenya is one of my favorites. That's what I would be talking to you about. I would be talking to you about, do you want to stay in a lodge or a tented camp? Do you want an open vehicle or a closed up vehicle? How many days can you go? What's your budget? All these different considerations. And then, is there any animal that you are particularly passionate about?
I love giraffes and zebras. I collect zebras. And
really?
I do.
The first thing that popped into my mind was Kenya. In Nairobi, they have the giraffe center where you can go and see the Rothschild giraffes. You can even feed them. Also, they have many giraffes and zebras all over the country, but in Samburu, Kenya, there's a different it's called the Grevi zebra, and it has a completely different shape than the regular zebra.
Like in what way?
I think the lines are closer together, and the regular zebra is wider. It's very unique. It's only found there, and I believe Somalia. That popped into my mind. So those kind of details, I want to get into those kind of details so that I can send you to exactly the right spot, because many people are only going to Africa 1. Mm-hmm. Some people will get it in their blood, and they'll have to go back several times. That's me. Mm-hmm. I want to keep going back until I've seen it all.
Wow, I love that. So I would not have to worry about finding on my own which part of Africa and doing so much research just with the probing questions that you would ask.
Yes, exactly. I would just ask you, a series of questions. I have about 7 questions that I ask. And when you answered it, then it kind of just pops into my head what you need to do. Because my head's kind of like a little computer. And it's got all the different variables in it. When you tell me what your dream is, and then I want to know, okay, so do you want to stay in a lodge or a tented camp?
What's the second thing? A camp?
A tented camp. So they can be basic or they can be very luxurious. You're staying in tents, and usually they're built up on a wooden platform. Really exciting. I like the ones that don't have fences around, that the animals are wandering through the property, and sometimes you'll wake up in the morning and walk outside and there'll be elephants drinking out of the water hole, or you have to be careful. One of my clients left her baboons went in and stole her cosmetic case, and I had to send her a new so I sent her a new cosmetic case with little monkeys on it.
I love elephants too. Wow, that sounds amazing.
If you love elephants, is in Botswana. There's a camp that I love where you walk with the elephants. There are 2 elephants. They're not tame. They're not tame, but they are trained enough that you can walk with them in the wild.
I think I want to go to Africa. Wow, it sounds amazing. What are some of the things that you guys do once I'm there? Am I on my own at that point and you just set up everything for me and I go, or is there someone that meets me on the other side?
Yes, we use local guides in each city or each destination. So when you arrive in Nairobi, for example, you will be met by your guide, and sometimes there'll be also a driver. Sometimes the driver and the guide are the same. It all depends on what we've done with the budget. And the guide will take you to the car and then take you to your hotel. And that same guide normally will do everything with you that you do in Nairobi. And then normally after 1 night or at most 2, we go ahead and leave Nairobi. And then it depends on where you're going. Sometimes our guide will take a closed vehicle and drive you to your next destination. There's a few safari destinations that we work with that are driving distance from Nairobi. Other times they'll drop you at the local airport and you'll get on the plane by yourself and fly into a camp or lodge that has an airstrip, and the people from the camp or the lodge will pick you up and the manager will give you, a good overview of what to expect. They usually have rules on safari about like, don't go out at dark without, somebody with you. Stay on the path. You can sit on this rock, but not that one, So,
Mm-hmm.
the manager and you'll have sometimes, depending on the lodge, sometimes you'll have a guide that's with you the whole time. Other times, it might be a different guide depending on what you choose to do. And so the manager goes over everything in the lodge with you, and then you go back to the plane at the end of that trip. And sometimes if you're doing 2 or 3 lodges, it's plane from lodge to lodge, and it's the same sequence. And then back in the city, you'll be with our city guide. So that's an example. In Kenya, if we were doing Peru, it would be similar to the city in every city. So when you fly into Lima, your guide and driver will be there. The guide will take you to the car, take you to the hotel, tell you what time to be ready for your tour the next day. Then when it's time to leave Lima, they'll take you back to the airport. You fly to Cusco, and then your Cusco guide meets you. And it's really nice to use the local guides, because the local guides know, first of all, it's good for the economy of those local destinations by employing the local people.
Yes.
And second of all, they know all the ins and outs. Even in Guatemala, I even had a guide who knew which ATM would steal my card and which one was safe. That's
Wow.
not every destination, but in Guatemala, I wasn't even aware that was a problem. And
Right.
it's a problem, and this is where you go to avoid the problem. So the guides, the local people, they're also problem solvers. I mean, sometimes I've been invited to a guide's house for breakfast with his family in Bali. They know where the great local, like, hole-in-the-wall restaurants are, the ones that don't make the guidebooks but give you an authentic experience.
Mm-hmm. That's
So,
nice.
yeah. So we do not have like a professor flying in with you and taking you around. We could, if you wanted, if that's something that you were interested in, but our normal mode of operation is using the local guides.
Oh, okay. I like that. And it does make sense. Can you share with me what's been one of your favorite places that you visited?
Oh, it's so hard. Well, we talked about Africa already. Peru, of course. My husband's from Peru, and I love every inch of that country that I've visited so far. The people are amazing in Peru. The food is incredible.
One of my really good friends, I've been knowing her since we were in high school, and she's from Peru, and I've never been. And I think that maybe she's been one time as an adult. I'm not sure.
Her family cook for you?
No, her mother, when we were in school, used to make like a lot of stews and stuff like that. But when I would go there, but I don't really recall eating many meals or anything with them. And I'm not sure if she makes them. I think she told me her husband does most of the cooking. So that I think I would take that as they probably don't really have a lot of the Peruvian foods and stuff like that. What kind of foods are they popular or famous for?
Well, that is a good point, that a lot of the food centers around the ají, which is a pepper. And they have several peppers that they use: ají molida, ají amarillo. The ají amarillo has the most beautiful color. It's a beautiful orange color and a really flavorful taste. So it's not just spicy like a jalapeno, but it's more flavorful with a little bit of kick. And they use it there's a dish called ají de gallina, which is a chicken, kind of cheesy chicken dish. They use it in papa huancaína, which is a potato with a beautiful, elegant sauce over it with an olive garnish and a little piece of egg garnish. They use it there's a dish. The thing about Peruvian food is that they had so many cultures come into Peru. They had the Europeans, they had the Africans, they had Chinese and Japanese. And so they have the Andean cuisine and foods, the people in the hills of the Andes. They also have the fruits and vegetables from the rainforest, the Amazon jungle, and they have seafood from the sea. So if you take all of those cultures and all of those ingredients and a sophistication that is as beautiful as a French cuisine, and you put their flavors in and their combinations, and it is the best kept secret. It's the most incredible food. And there's a dish called lomo saltado, which is beef with tomatoes and onion and this pepper, and each is cooked individually with a little bit of red wine vinegar and garlic and cumin and oregano. So they mix it all together, and then they put soy sauce in it, which to me is an Asian ingredient. And then they top it with French fries. It's just the best.
Wow.
This is the best dish. And then they mix it all together, right? They mix it up and put it over rice. So this is my kids' favorite. Like when I make that, everybody will come over, you know?
It sounds delicious.
Yeah, but it's all around this ají amarillo. That's what gives it the kick, you know? And so that's why Peruvian food, I don't believe, has taken off as much in the United States, because really, if you don't have that pepper, you can't really make it authentic.
Got it. That totally makes sense. Now that we're talking, it makes me, next time I talk to her, I have to ask her, like, you mentioned the Amazon.
Yes.
Is that where there was like fires and it was burning down?
Oh, yeah, that was in Brazil. So the Amazon stretches over a lot of South America. It's in Brazil, Venezuela, Paraguay, Ecuador, Peru, and Colombia. So Peru is my favorite place to sell it, followed by Ecuador and then Bolivia. Bolivia has Amazon too. I meant to say Brazil. And so Peru, the Amazon, there's a part of the Amazon that's actually very close to Machu Picchu. The river that flows under Machu Picchu flows into the Amazon River. And so an hour flight from Cusco, where you fly into from Machu Picchu, is Tambopata, which is one of the most pristine rainforest areas in all of the Amazon. And then they also have in Iquitos the same river that flows to Manaus in Brazil. So the fires that were happening were in Brazil. And if you look at a map of Brazil and you look kind of towards the edge where the Amazon kind of turns into more flat land, that area is being farmed a lot. And I believe that they were, but I believe that it was farmers burning their land, you know, because how farmers do that. Sometimes they burn their land, start over with a fresh. So I think it was farmers burning that started it all. And then it just continued, and it was crazy. So we were all really worried. I was really worried about it. And now I'm really worried about coronavirus affecting the people of the Amazon. There's a lot of remote tribes that are being affected and could be wiped out if somebody doesn't help them. Yeah, so I may have gone off point here a little bit, but it's a really worrisome, some of the things that have been happening in the last year in the Amazon. But it's a beautiful, important place on our earth. I think that the Brazilian president hasn't been the biggest supporter of the Amazon. I'm also a little mad at Ecuador for selling a lot of the Amazon land to Chinese oil companies. Every country has its issues, and it's one of those terrible chicken and egg scenarios, you know, where the governments have to balance the economy of their country with the protecting this beautiful, important place. And we have many wonderful organizations around the world that are working really hard to, you know, get these two sides together and make compromises and to save the Amazon. And so we just kind of have to be diligent. When presidents change, then sometimes good inroads that they've made will go out the door, and we have to start over again. And my heart goes out to the organizations that have been fighting this, because if that was my job and that happened to me, I would be so, demoralized, But I think that, people around the world, when there was the fire, everyone came together. Everyone really wanted to help. And so I would say, if you're listening and this is resonating with you, contact Rainforest Alliance, contact one of the other organizations that works with, maybe there's a Amazon Watch organization, and see what you can do to help.
That's good stuff. The Amazon rainforest, I've heard about something called ayahuasca. Have you heard of that before?
Oh, God. You're funny. Have you heard of peyote?
No.
Okay. Ayahuasca is used by shamans in the Amazon. So the shamans in the mountains, they don't use ayahuasca. I mean, they probably do now because it's gotten commercialized, but historically, that's not the way shamans in the Andes did their work. But shamans in the Amazon, and Amazon is all about the plants and animals, and there's all of these plants in the Amazon that are incredible, that, that could be food sources and medicines and, beautiful, healthy plants. And so the shamans there, when they want you to have a spiritual experience, you drink this, it's sort of like a tea called ayahuasca. And when you drink this tea, I'd never done this and probably wouldn't. It's not my personality type. But so I can't, I'm not speaking from firsthand experience, but we used to have clients that would ask us and we would send them to the right place to do it. And from what I understand, when you take the ayahuasca, first you're going to throw up. You're going to heave all the negativity out of you, all of the bad mojo, whatever, you're going to be heaving. And then I think you connect with your spirit animal. And I've seen people say they turned into a jaguar when jaguaring through the Amazon.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure. There used to be a website called ayahuasca.com. And if that website still exists, I haven't looked for it for more than 5 years because we stopped selling it. But that website will tell you the truth, and they'll tell you the good and the bad and the ugly, So if anybody listening wants to do ayahuasca, please go to that website. We stopped selling it because there was a scandal with a shaman that a tourist died. So it's serious. Oh. And the shaman tried to hide the body in the jungle. It was a big scandal. And so our company and all the other companies, because I had a relative that wanted to do it. And so I was looking for him recently, and everyone that I trust was not willing to do it anymore. And I don't want to just find someone on Google and send him, So I said, I'm washing my hands of that. I will give you everything else you want in Peru, but that you're going to have to find on your own. Definitely go to ayahuasca.com. That will show you everything that you need to know is there, if that website still exists.
I'd heard so much about it. I think I heard
you hear about it?
Basically that it was in the rainforest and that it allowed people to have a spiritual experience where they feel like they're connected to their higher self. And I guess it takes them I don't know if on a trip is the proper word. And I did hear something about people feeling sick and that it was the only place in the entire world in the Amazon forest that you could find that.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, I would definitely go to the Amazon because, get a shaman from the Amazon to do it.
If you're throwing up everywhere, I don't really like to throw up a lot at all if I can help it. So I don't know.
There's some people that's their personality, that they can get out of their comfort zone and do things like that. That's just not me. I read all these spiritual books, but I remember there's a writer, Carlos Castaneda, I think his name is, and he wrote about peyote. And so when I was reading his book, I put it down. Once he said, I did peyote, and I was just like, that's not for me, But it's different strokes for different folks, I say.
I totally understand.
Actually jealous of people that do it. Not jealous is not the right word, but I'm open to hearing about their experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, as far as like traveling, if someone had never been like out of the country, what are some of the things that we need to make that trip? I know I need a passport.
Okay. So yeah, you need a passport, and I would say travel light. Nowadays, the airlines make it very expensive to carry a lot of luggage. So I would travel with layers that you can mix and match to make your outfits look different, but that you're wearing different layers over and over again. Then you're going to roll them up. You roll up your stuff, and it gives you more space in the suitcase. Always take your passport and anything you can't live without and your carry-on on the plane with you. So medicine, your passport, and your laptop. It used to be we always had our camera, but now, I mean, half the time I just use my iPhone to take all my photos. So all that stuff that you can't live without, that goes on the plane with you. And then you can check a bag. When you're buying airfare, look at whether the airfare is included, because nowadays they really confuse the consumer. Even I get confused, and I sell airfare for a living, So I have to, like, when I look on Expedia, I can't always tell. I think they're starting to put like includes or doesn't include the luggage or the seat assignment. Now they charge for luggage. If you're getting the cheapest fare available, you're going to pay extra for luggage and seat assignments to be able to pick your seat. And you don't want to just end up with what you get, you want to pick your seat, believe me. It's hard to compare apples to apples, because you have to figure out all that stuff costs and add it to that basic fare that you're seeing on, I shouldn't be using a name. I don't want anybody to get mad at me. Expedia, Travelocity, Orbitz, whatever you're looking at, you need to be able to make sure you know what's included and how much that extra stuff is going to cost, because I'm going to want one suitcase and I'm going to want to pick my seat. And then what you can do, you need to decide, are you going to travel independently, or are you going to hire a travel company to do everything for you? Traveling independently, you would pick your own hotel. You would either Uber or book a driver when you get there, and then book your tours, either when you get there, or there's some websites online that you can book just a tour. We have a second website called Yampu Go that you can just book the tour. So that's one way to do it. I like, when my clients let me do everything for them and we just prepare one package where you don't have to worry about anything. That can cost between $4,000 and $15,000, depending on what we put in and how long you're staying and where you're going. So that's what you need. You just need a suitcase, a passport, and an adventurous spirit.
Sounds super cool. If someone wanted to use your company and book the tour where you do everything for them, and they knew that they wanted to do this like 6 months from now or a year from now, how do they pay for that? Do they just charge it all on their credit card, or do you set up programs where people could pay into it monthly?
We can do monthly payment plans. The final payment is due 90 days before you travel. We can do either 50% at booking and then the rest 90 days prior. Sometimes if it's a more expensive package and people want to pay monthly up until 90 days, then we can do like 6 payments. We divide it, however you'd like, and we can certainly do that.
Wow, that sounds like it would actually make it easier for people to not have money as an excuse to not make it happen.
Exactly. You just the best thing to do is figure out what your budget is and work backwards from there. Set aside a budget and amount of days that you can travel. And then, you just kind of list, like, what do you want to do? Some trips incorporate going to 6, 7, 8 places on one trip, where other clients will do 2 places on one trip. So you kind of need to decide which kind of traveler are you, how much time do you have? What do you want to see? So for example, Central America is really doable. Like if you went to Belize, for example, I would do maybe just 2 places to start with. You can go inland where you can see the Mayan ruins and the rainforest, and there's a creek that you can go tubing into a cave. I would do inland for a few days, and then I would go out to Ambergris Cay, which is an island off of the coast that has the second largest reef in the world. And so that would be 2 places that'd be very doable on a 7-day trip. Usually we'll try to get people to use both weekends, so it ends up being a 9 or 10-day trip. And so you can do that just on a quick trip. Belize is a good example. In Costa Rica, I like everyone to go to Arenal volcano. There's so much to do there, zip lining and canoeing and horseback riding. And again, you've got the jungle there and lots of butterflies and birds, and it's so beautiful. And then going out to a beach destination, and I try to get the clients to go as far off the beaten track they're comfortable of going, maybe to an eco resort, where they still get the adventure side and the animals and, the monkeys and if you're lucky, a jaguar.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would love to do something like this. I am that girl that's just now busting loose. I had never really had a desire to travel outside the country, and I jokingly would say they may not let me back in. And now I'm ready. I'm at that point where I'm ready, and it's like I want to learn so much and make sure that I'm very well prepared. And for someone like me, I would love to use a company like yours because it would save me the time and headache and the worry of, is this really the right place I'm going to stay at for these 5 days or these 3 nights or whatever it is? And so I like the idea of it. I think it's really awesome.
Well, I hope you do travel, and be careful, because once you do it once, then you get addicted to it. Yes.
So whenever you travel, are you picking up different souvenirs from all around the world?
Yes, and I wish I had bought more. Anywhere I go, if there's a local market and there's weavers, I have all these little, cosmetic bags that have been woven by hand by somebody. In Cambodia, we went to the Silk Island, and I got these great sarongs. They're so beautiful. I wish I'd bought more of those and given every one of my friends them as a present because they're so pretty. They usually have my husband there going, no, why do you need that? Why do you need In Africa, you can't see me, but behind me it's all made of beads. It's all made of little beads. It was made in Africa, and it's really special to me. So I have these little things all over the house. We have several wooden carved things from Bali and India come to mind, where we bought things that were carved in wood. And my father, he used to have a little art thing in Indiana that called himself the Sassafras Man. And he's not the one you see on YouTube. That's a different guy, because my dad doesn't go on the computer. So I always buy the little wooden carved things and think of him.
Oh, that's nice. The class that you're coming up with on how to start thinking about traveling, where is that class going to be? Is it an online class that people can look for?
The class is a membership, and it's for travel agents, but anybody can sign up for it. And I'll send you the link. It's how to sell travel to sophisticated clients. And it's a membership, so every week it will be a new class. So the first few weeks, 1 week is about itineraries for multi-generational families. And I go through a lot of the itineraries that actually our clients have actually done with grandparents, parents, and children. And then another week we do how to talk to your clients about traveling to Africa. And I've also done that at the New York Times travel show to the audience, it being about talking to how the travel agent talks to them. It's the opposite. How does the client talk to the travel agent? It's the same thing. The client needs to know what questions to ask the agent, and the agent needs to know what questions to ask the client. And then I have one class about boys' trips, and it's called the Brocation. And men, when they travel together, for a travel designer, they're very fun to design for, because they like a lot of activity. You need to keep them busy. and they like adventure things, like we did sleeping in a cave in Vietnam. In South Africa, there's the longest par 3 in the world where you helicopter up to the top of a mountain and you hit the ball off of it to the par 3. They did shark cave diving in South Africa, and they did fishing in the Zambezi River in Zambia. This whole class is about guys' trips.
Is it cost effective? Like, are there discounts for people going through the travel company?
So when you go through the travel company, we make packages and we buy things wholesale. They're confidential rates that they don't provide online. We mark up these wholesale rates and we put it into a package. So everything will be done for you, and it will be done in the best economical way for your budget, so you get the most for your budget. And then you don't make any mistakes when you book through a travel company. So when you book through you're on your own, you might do a route that's not logistic, or you might not know about an air pass that would have saved you hundreds of dollars. So these are all things that travel companies know. And then if your travel advisor knows you and they are designing something just for you, then you don't waste any opportunity cost of going to the wrong place, because this place has been picked with you specifically in mind. And also the experiences. Like, I don't want to send somebody that's afraid of heights up on the zip line, or if you're afraid of horses, I don't want to take you horseback riding, So using the travel advisor will be a good value for you in the end.
That's good stuff there. If someone wanted to find you, what is the name of the website?
So it's Yampu. It's YAMPU.com. And we have a chat button. We have email. We have a form you can fill out, and a phone number, all on the website. So whatever your favorite mode of communication is, we can do it.
I love the website. I already toured around it a little bit, and I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome. And now that my mind has opened up to think beyond the United States, I'm really excited about it. And I do want to become addicted to it.
Where do you think you want to go first?
I think I could definitely see myself going to Africa first. I do want to see the Amazon rainforest. I just need to do something. I don't mind going anywhere, as long as it's a place where I feel welcomed. And I want to get that travel bug. I want to get it.
It's been a nightmare. So now no one's traveling anywhere. But people are starting to call me and say, Monica, I want to go in August. I want to go in November. I want to go back in 2021. So all of our current clients that we're supposed to be traveling right now, they all moved their trips sometime between the fall and 2022 even. We had one client move to 2022. So I think that what's going to happen is, as soon as the countries are willing to accept us, because that's really what it comes down to. I believe that the United States will open up. I'm saying this today. Who knows what's really going to happen? But today I feel like people are wanting to open up here. But who's going to accept us? Who's going to let us in? That's when I will be happening over the next month. We'll find out who's allowing tourists in. And a friend of mine, I just hung up the phone with her, and she said, I can imagine if I was the first tourist that could go to Iceland, for example, that was her example, what beautiful, clear skies you would get. Because you go to Iceland, and one of the things you want to see is the Northern Lights right now. We haven't
I do.
Right? You haven't had any pollution. So you go there, maybe you have a better chance,
Mm-hmm.
So she wants to be the first client allowed into a country somewhere,
That's awesome. Someone like me, where I have never traveled before, and I just said, hey, can you just help me? Just pick a destination. Where would you send me without me filling out my questionnaire?
You already told me you wanted to go to Africa. So we would start in Africa and work backwards,
Okay.
We'd start with the time off, the budget, and then we would work our way backwards,
Mm-hmm.
And if someone's never been out of the country, and we're talking about a United States citizen, I normally start with Central America or Peru. If you want to go to South America, Peru is the greatest. It's a great country to start your travel, because one of the things you said stuck out at me. And I have been to 50 countries. Everyone and my clients also, like we have all kinds of clients. We all are different, have different backgrounds, and all of our clients and me, every country I've been to, pretty much we all feel comfortable because it's the way we set things up, you know. But Peru, when they welcome you, they don't look at you with dollar signs in their mind. They look at you with, we just want to please you. That's their mentality. Also, Bali is like that. Everywhere in Africa is like that. There's a lot of countries like that. And I feel like, and also sometimes the countries that you would think would be scary, like I remember going to Colombia when people weren't really going to Colombia, and I remember going to Turkey when people weren't going to Turkey, and the people there were so excited to see us because there weren't a lot of travelers there. They just really welcomed it. They really love seeing outsiders. Now, Colombia and Turkey, we send tons of people to both of those. And then also, like, there's logistical things that we have to think about, like how far can you fly? Like how, because if you have only 7 days, I'm not going to really think you should go to Africa, you know. But if you have 2 weeks, then let's do it, you know.
How long of a flight is that?
10 days, even 10 days would work.
How long of a flight is Africa?
So if you go to Kenya and you live in New York, you can get a direct flight. You can get a direct flight to Johannesburg from New York. Where do you live?
I'm in Arizona.
I'm going to say maybe 10 hours to get there. No, more, like 16.
Okay.
If you fly from LA, you know, and you'd fly through probably Istanbul, or you can fly through San Francisco. You can fly Kenya. I just had a client do this. The last client that came home went from Nairobi to New York and then San Francisco. Nairobi to New York and then to Arizona.
Have you ever been to Arizona?
I've been to Vegas. I don't know if that counts.
Almost.
Is Lake Tahoe in Canada, Arizona? It's crazy that I can tell you everything everywhere else in the world in the United States. I don't know what
No, you're fine. You know, I'm the same way. When you mentioned Bali, I'm like, where's that?
That's in Indonesia. A lot of people think Bali is a country, you know, because you never hear people say Bali, Indonesia. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And Indonesia and Bali is in Indonesia, but it's very different from the rest of Indonesia, which I also think is a great place, and I would love to travel more Indonesia.
I would love to bring a lot of the spices. If I could find a place where I could get those things.
Morocco and Sri Lanka.
Oh, where's that?
Morocco that's technically Africa. Yeah, Morocco is northern Africa. And they have tons of spices, and they also have argan oil is from there. They also have some sort of really magical cactus oil that the lady that was helping me was telling me all about. So that's a really great place, Morocco. And then Sri Lanka is a wonderful little country off the coast of India, and it has these beautiful tea plantations and the spice plantations, and so that's a really nice place to get spices too.
Yeah, I can imagine coming back and like having a taste of all around the world. Everywhere I go, just a spice here, a spice there. I'm excited about like what the future holds, and I'm excited about travel and just inviting that into my life. So that's where I'm at in my life right now. And I just want to go everywhere, but I know I have to pick a place. So I really do think that I could see us going to Africa, because we were watching something on television and they were showing how people here are starting to move there and they're starting their own businesses and how they're having success.
Nairobi in Kenya is a nice city. They have, in South Africa, you have more cities. South Africa is more first world, I would say. More places you could set down roots if you were looking for something like that. I mean, we have friends that started a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Nairobi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they took their whole family there and lived there for years. So it's a beautiful place to go, and every country is different, you know. Botswana is so spread out, and Zambia, you know, my daughter went to Zambia for a month and volunteered in a school there. And I really like that town. I think it's called Victoria Falls.
Mm-hmm. I love that you can pronounce every place around the world that you've mentioned. I get tongue-tied. I'm like,
Well, thank you so much. For a girl from Indiana, it's not bad, right?
Not bad at all.
I've just been talking about these places for my whole last 22 years. And I also teach like all the employees at my company about these places, these destinations. I've spoken at travel shows about them. It's really the highlight of my day to be able to come on this podcast and talk to you about travel. I really appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me and for allowing the Authentic Talk listeners to learn all about Yampu.
Yeah, we had to go to every country and we've looked at every hotel and, walked through all the experiences. And sometimes we've even made mistakes that we had to learn from, That's really important, that we've been just doing the same thing year after year, but also making changes and updating and, staying with the times. It's been a great ride. It's a great thing to be able to do. And we're really lucky. And everyone that works for Yampu it's a passion.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. Wow, you guys, I am actually excited. I'm seriously getting really excited about traveling, and I just can't wait. I am so looking forward to 2021 because I know I'm not going anywhere this year in 2020, but I'm looking forward to it. It's about time that we just really take that extra step and start living our lives to the fullest because we honestly only have one life to live. One life. And so therefore, why not just travel, become the most authentic you that you can possibly become? Thank you, Monica, again for coming on the show. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about your travel agency, as well as the classes that you offer and how you help your clients to determine where might be the best place for them to go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Shantae with Authentic Talks.